Hey, hello, how are you? Jerry Yap here to do some Jerry Yapping about a game that is pretty special to me, man. I did not like this too much when it released because I thought it was held down by its predecessors. I thought the previous entries in the game were a lot better, or in the series, and I never really came to appreciate this game for what it was by the time I stopped playing the first time around. But revisiting it after all these years, man, it really is something special, man. It takes something from all of the previous games and just improves upon all of the things that it does, and even adds a bunch too, right? I am talking about, of course, a game that needs no introduction. One of the probably the best-selling Bethesda game of all time. I didn't look it up. I don't really care to. It's very popular. An Amazon series recently came out that made it super popular. And I, of course, am talking Fallout 4 for basically everything, right? Everything but Switch. It's on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. So, yeah, pretty much everything but Switch. I love Fallout, man. This is the last greatest entry in the Fallout series. I do not count 76 because I don't know, man. I really want to like Fallout 76. I've given it countless tries. I personally just don't think the Fallout formula works all that well in like an MMO setting. I think it would be better if they made like a 2 or 4 player co-op game, set up like in a normal Fallout style universe. But, they tried something different, and it's got a pretty big player base that people seem to love the game. So, I don't know. I'm not going to knock it too hard for that, but I just can't get into it. But the regular, standalone, single-player Fallout games, I love these goddamn games. Oh, and for the record, I have not played Fallout 1, 2, Tactics, or Brotherhood of Steel, whatever all of those ones are. I've only played 3, New Vegas, and 4, and 76. So I'm talking about the 3D Fallouts exclusively. All of the older ones I didn't really play. Maybe I'll play them one day for the podcast, but they are not on my radar at any time in the near future. Now, I'll never say never, though. Could happen one time or twice in the future. Who knows? Anything could happen. But yeah, we are just talking the vanilla game of Fallout 4 and everything it does right, everything it does wrong, things it could improve on, things I liked, things I disliked. All of it is happening here, man. So we're going to break it down into a couple easy segments to follow. This game came out November 10th, 2015, on my birthday 9 years ago. So the questions we'll be answering is, does this game hold up for being an almost 10-year-old game? I think it does. To start it off, why don't we talk about the thing you do most in the game, right? Let's talk about the combat first. Now, the combat in Fallout 4 compared to the previous entries is night and day, man. They really, really upped the fucking I never really used guns in Fallout. I was always a melee build guy. I just enjoy melee builds. I loved, having perks to like knock death claws down and stuff and just like stun enemies, and like the baseball bat one where you send them flying is super fun. I don't know. I never really, the first time I played Fallout 4, I never really used guns. I will say though, the guns in this game are very, very, very satisfying to use and build. I was getting into modding them a little bit, playing around with them a little bit. Oh, I should really mention here, I'll mention this really, really quickly. I played this playthrough completely vanilla just because I wanted to give an honest opinion of all of the game as it came out, just untouched with mods and whatnot. I know these Bethesda games get way better with mods, obviously. However, it changes the gameplay experience. I just want to talk about the game that Bethesda shipped, not the game that the community helped craft, if that makes any sense. Because I know, obviously, the gameplay experience will get better with, various quality of life mods and stuff like that. But, yeah, we're just talking vanilla Fallout 4 here. So no gun mods, obviously mods in-game, but not like community-made mods or anything. So that's what we're going off of here. Vanilla guns in Fallout 4. So I will say, dude, I had a bunch of them that I loved, man. I had the Deliverer, which was like a 10mm silenced, M1911 pistol. The thing was fucking insane. It gives like crazy VATS bonuses. It was very, very useful. I used like a penetrating special sniper rifle that penetrated armor. So that was like my one shotgun. That thing was able to like smoke the sentry bots and shit. The guys that are supposed to be super tanky, it was just like one shot them while sneaking and stuff. So fun, man. So the combat in this game, super fluid, man. It feels so good. Just the gunplay in general feels good. VATS doesn't feel that great as far as I'm like base VATS anyway. Base VATS in the earlier Fallouts feels way better at the start, but once you start getting perks and start getting luck stats and getting building for your crits and I'm stupid. Building for crits, building luck, and that sort of thing. Then the VATS does get a lot better. Like I had at closer to the end, I had the 4 critical bankers, so I was able to stash 4 critical hits, and then I had like the it fills up faster because your luck is higher, that kind of thing. Just very, very solid all around. Which, that's honestly kind of one thing I don't like about Fallout 4. I kind of don't like the way they do critical hits, I don't like the fact that it's like a charge you have to build up with multiple VATS hits. I liked just the chance of it from the other games, you know what I mean? So that's just one small thing on a very large system of complaints I'm probably going to have for this game. It's just one thing they changed I didn't really care for, So, as far as melee weapons go, I can't really talk about them. I haven't really used them in forever. There was a bunch of them I remember liking, like the Chinese officer sword and like the shish kebab and like the Deathclaw gauntlet and cool stuff like that. But I have not touched them in forever, so unfortunately, we will not be covering the melee part of the combat. But that's all. I mean, it's kind of the same in every series. There's the regular swing, heavy, and there's a heavy swing, and then there's like the VATS. Not too intricate, the weapons kind of just have they're slow hitting or they're fast hitting with less damage depending on what you have. Like if it's like a switchblade, it's fast, but it doesn't do a lot of damage, but you can hit a bunch of times. If it's like a sledgehammer or something like that, it takes a little longer to swing, but it does a bigger blow. So that's pretty much all. Melee is not too overcomplicated, really. Perks just kind of make it better. But yeah, we're going to talk about the guns. And that's, while I'm on the topic of weapons, let me just say right now, I really hate the way they do like legendary weapons in this game. So every legendary enemy you kill, whether it's a ghoul, a super mutant, a gunner, any legendary enemy in the game you kill has the chance to drop a piece of legendary gear, like an armor piece or a legendary weapon, which is, it's cool at first until you realize how much fucking legendary spam is actually in this game. I just miss having guns like Maria, like Benny's gun from New Vegas, or that gun from New Vegas, or like the Blade of the East from New Vegas, or like the All-American. There was less unique weapons or legendary, quote, weapons in those games, but they felt so much more like rewarding to have and use, you know what I mean? Every like 2 steps you take in Fallout 4, there's a legendary blood bug that drops a automatic combat shotgun, or there's a legendary ghoul and it drops a VATS right armor piece that gives you more VATS time. Like every time you play this game, I can't even tell you how much like of that stuff I just stashed in my safe back at Sanctuary or just ended up selling. Like it just, I don't know, dude. I really don't like how much they spam legendaries in Fallout 4. I hope they kind of go back to the unique system of 3 in New Vegas with the next Fallout installment whenever that comes out. Did not really care for this system at all. But I'll tell you what I did care about was modding the guns. Man, I loved just toying around with the guns at the workbench. It was just cool to be able to throw different sights on them, throw different magazines on them, throw different stocks on them. At the end of the day, it wasn't really too intricate, right? But it was still more advanced than anything we've seen in the series. So I have to give credit where it's due, looking through all that stuff when trying to decide what how I wanted to build the gun was pretty cool, you know. I will say I did not care for automatic guns. I tried to use a little bit of everything just to kind of see what I liked and what was good and whatnot. By far the best type of gun in the game is definitely just like the assault rifle that you can build to have like crazy range and like no recoil, so you could just keep tapping from a distance and kill people. That was one of my go-to guns. I tried a little bit of big guns, you know, with like the Gatling guns and stuff. I tried to build the Ashmaker, which was like a legendary weapon that did like burn damage or something. And I just didn't really care for it, you know. It just feels like you're wasting so much ammo with these guns. I know it takes a special type of ammo, but I don't know. Just didn't really feel like it killed all that fast. You know, didn't really care for big guns. The only thing I didn't really try is like rocket launchers or anything yet. So if explosives are good, I'm sure they are. They're just a little more hard to come by in the Commonwealth. But, you know, I liked the single shotguns. I liked shotguns in general. Like I had a double barrel shotgun that I'd built that I kept in my pocket all the time. I loved that. Loved pistols. I think pistols were honestly my favorite to use. Like I said earlier, the Deliverer was my go-to. Loved that thing. I got a never-ending 44 like Magnum, which was pretty cool. Never had to reload it. That was one of my good pieces for the whole game. So yeah, pistols felt really good. Automatic weapons, aside from heavy guns, I'm talking about like the Tommy guns. Didn't really care for them, you know. Felt like they didn't do enough damage. However, my go-to gun throughout this whole playthrough, well, not throughout the whole playthrough, but the best gun I came across so far, and I'm probably wrong for this, but it's like the AK-47 from Nuka World. I got an operator one or whatever, and I just built it. I put not the automatic on it. I didn't put the automatic on it because the single shot does more damage, and that thing just went on a tear, man. That took out like every enemy in the game with relative ease. Super, super, super solid gun, man. And I would recommend anybody playing, who's listening, if they're going to do a playthrough of Fallout 4, maybe do Nuka World first, you know, and get that gun, and just that'll be your piece for the rest of the game. The only thing that sucks is you can only find 7.62s, the rounds it takes, in Nuka World. So you're going to have like a caps farm or some way to get caps to buy ammo constantly for them, which sucks, but at this point in the game, when I played the DLC, I was so rich, it didn't even matter. I could just spend money on anything. So, guns, pretty fun for the most part. Some obvious weak ones, but mostly they're overpowered as fuck, you know? Especially comboed with good sneaking. I didn't really build sneak too much, but I could see how if you built, went like an assassin style build with good sneak and like a silent sniper, like you could go crazy. I kind of just wanted to pump points into all the weapons there and put perks into all the weapons and kind of upgrade them just to see for the first time really how guns truly felt when fully built. And they're pretty good, man. I will say though, as far as energy weapons go, didn't really care for the plasma stuff. Didn't really care for, you know, the energy weapons, like the laser rifles, and like, you know, I know like Righteous Authority is pretty good, the one Paladin's Dance gives you or whatever, that's a pretty solid gun, but I just had a lot more fun with the bullet guns of the game, and the Deliverer especially. Yeah, man, so that's all we'll really touch on for combat, you know. Just to summarize, didn't touch melee this game really. All the guns felt pretty decent. Heavy guns didn't feel that great. Automatic weapons didn't feel that great. Single shotguns and pistols felt so good. Shotguns in this game are very, very strong too. So that's it for, you know, the combat of the game. That's basically the majority of the game, you know. As far as the shooting mechanics go in Fallout 4, they feel better than they ever have in Fallout, you know, because Fallout 3, you couldn't even aim down sights, right? It just like slightly moved in your crosshair. And then in Fallout New Vegas, they added ADS to a lot of guns. Not every gun in the game, but a lot of guns. And then in Fallout 4, they completely just revamped the way, recoil works, and guns just feel like they're kicking hard. You know, it just feels good to shoot a gun in Fallout 4, you know, pretty solid. So we talked about the offense. Let's talk about the defense within the armor and the power armor. Dude, I can't lie. I hated Fallout 4 power armor when I first played the game. I just did not like the way how it was a giant suit and you had to constantly power with fusion cores. But in this playthrough, I don't know. It kind of just grew on me a little bit. I miss the days of throwing on, a helmet and torso for power armor. Like in Fallout 3 in New Vegas. It was just a very simple process that way. But, I've come to know and love the hulking suit of armor that you get to wear in this game. I guess I really just don't like how early you're able to get it. You get this shit right in the beginning of the game, right after you meet the godforsaken Preston Garvey and his Minutemen. You get to use it, and it's just like it feels so overpowered. Like you have to have power armor on constantly in this game, and it kind of just sucks because every time I wanted to take off my power armor and just go and just like do a couple things, like it just felt like I should be wearing it because you could just die so quickly without it. I don't know. It just felt too overpowered not to use, and by the time. Like, if you just do a few side quests, you just can just farm fusion cores, man. They are everywhere in this world. So I would recommend not ever getting the fusion core perk that prolongs them because there's just no point. You find so many fusion cores throughout the game. So I just think, I genuinely think if they held on to power armor a little longer in Fallout 4, that it would have... I think it would have been better received. I actually don't know how it received it is, but I personally would have liked it better just because it feels like you just get it right in the beginning of the game, and it just feels like, oh, okay, I already have the best of the best. And then there's various customization you can do to power armor in Fallout 4 and various perks you can make it have, like the jetpack I mentioned earlier. You can, if you have the perks for it, you can build a jetpack onto your power armor and get to places easily. Instead of having to walk all the way around. I had the jetpack by the time I did all the DLCs. So I was able to just kind of, you typically have to go through a certain route. Like, here's one thing. In Nuka World, you guys remember the maze part of the Nuka World part with Sito and his gorilla family? Like, you're able to just use the jetpack and fly all the way over the bullshit and not have to worry about any of it. So it's really, really useful in that sense. And then you can also get stuff like, VATS enhancement and like radiation resistance and all sorts of useful perks like that. So, as far as it goes there, it's really fucking useful, man. Power armor is overpowered in Fallout 4, and that's just what it is, And you also get slower movement speed while wearing them, which isn't the biggest deal in the world, but it's just something worth mentioning. The clunking noise that the power armor makes after walking, it's really cool at first, right? Because it really fits the whole vibe of the huge mech suit, right? But it just gets annoying after a while, I can't lie. I guess I'm just complaining, and I just miss it being good gear that you just equipped, I do like the animations of getting in and out of the power armor. It is very cool, It really fits that whole vibe and aesthetic of what they're trying to go for there. I think maintaining and repairing the power armor is slightly annoying. However, I'm not really going to knock too many points off for that just because, you had to repair armor in the previous games as well, and it was arguably more annoying because you had to build the repair stat to, do better. But let's talk about a few of the things that the power armor does good, It's cool that it's not just an armor piece, and it's cool that it's a big mech, It goes both ways. You can either not like that or you can line that. The stats are insane, They're obviously overpowered, so please use the power armors, guys. They're very, very, very... They'll just keep you alive. The in-depth customization to them is very cool. I like how there's different armor pieces. You can mix and match them how you want to. You can upgrade them so they're tankier and bruisier, if that's a word. I don't know if it is. You can, paint them in different ways. I had an XO2 Mark 6 by the end of the game that I painted desert camo with the red tactical headlamp or whatever it's called. And it just looks so fucking sick, dude. It's so sleek and cool looking. So, the power armor is pretty cool. Can't lie. Let me talk about the base armor really quick. So traditionally in Fallout, it's always been what? Like a a torso piece that kind of acts as like the whole suit, and then a headpiece, right? But in Fallout 4, what base armor is a headpiece. I'm pretty sure you could put on like a glasses piece, like some sort of welding goggles or something. And then there's a torso piece, a left leg piece, right leg piece, left arm piece, right arm piece. And each one of them can be upgraded through the armor bench, which I don't know, man. I really just did not. Again, power armor is super OP in this game not to use. I took the time to try to build out normal armor just to try it out. And it's like, it's okay. Yeah, you can make it better and everything, but it's like, just use power armor. You know what I mean? Like, yes, there's certain bonuses you can get from wearing armor. Like there's all the legendary pieces I talked about getting earlier. You can get from like legendary enemies and whatnot. You can get like VATS resistance, chemical resistance, radiation resistance, all sorts of stuff like that. And it's really nice if you play the game outside of a power suit, sure. And it's pretty useful, but just play the game in a power suit and you don't have to worry about any of that. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't like the way they went. I just think it just overcomplicates it for no reason. I don't like the fact that all the armor is split up into separate limb pieces, personally. We talked about the offense. We talked about the defense part of combat. Let's talk about the world that we play in, the Commonwealth, taking place in Boston, Massachusetts after bombs dropped. And I will say this is definitely the best Fallout has ever looked in the 3D world. The Commonwealth looks gorgeous, man. Like compared to, the Mojave Desert from New Vegas and the Capital Wasteland, it just looks good. It looks like a city. It looks like a city that's been, fucked up, and that's what they're going for. And there's multiple colors. I love the older Fallouts, right? But Fallout 3 everything is just green, and then Fallout New Vegas, everything is just brown and orange. So it's nice to see some different color palettes in the game. However, I will say it's definitely not Bethesda's best looking world. I would have to give that to Skyrim so far. I have not played Starfield yet, so maybe that is better. It does look the best, even though it's not the most interesting. I don't think the Commonwealth is all that interesting. I actually think the part where you're in the city and like exploring all the city close quarters is honestly the worst part of it. I think everything that surrounds the city of the Commonwealth, besides Diamond City, I actually do really like Diamond City a lot. If for some reason you don't know what Diamond City is, it's Fenway Park, man. It's literally where the Red Sox play baseball. And normally I wouldn't care that much. I'm not too into baseball normally, but I've actually been to Fenway Park because I have family in Boston. So it's just seeing that in game in like a Fallout setting was just like super cool, man, because it tapped into like a core memory from like my childhood, which was really special to me. So I will say, yeah, Diamond City is very cool. I love Diamond City. However, the rest of the city, it's just boarded up stuff you can't enter for the most part. And then the occasional building you do enter it's either just like a bookstore that has like a safe in it with like some fucking caps, or it's just, a raider hideout or something like that. And then there's like the couple skyscrapers in the city that you access for like part of the quests in the game, which you just clear enemies out of. I really just didn't think the city of the Commonwealth, like inside the clumped city center, was all that interesting. I think the glowing sea was very interesting. I really like that part. I think the worlds of the DLCs are pretty interesting. Nuka World taking place in like a Nuka-Cola style theme park was pretty interesting. Far Harbor taking place off the coast of the Commonwealth in some crazy fog infested land with weird creatures was pretty interesting. And I really fucking explored just about every location in the game. Like I pulled up my map and it was like there's no Explorer perk in this game, which is quite unfortunate. I don't normally get this perk, but sometimes I will. In Fallout 3 New Vegas, there's a perk called Explorer, which just like it basically makes visible all of the locations on the map, so you can go and explore them. And it would have been nice to have for this game, but it's not the end of the world. I basically just spent a couple days like literally just walking around the world, exploring everything I had to offer. Because, I never really did that with this game. I kind of just rushed through the campaign the first time I played it and then just like didn't touch it again for a while. One of the things I don't like about the world of the Commonwealth and Fallout 4 is the vaults, man. I feel like the vaults in earlier games had so much more personality. I'm thinking of like the Gary vault from I think it was New Vegas, right? I have not played those in forever, so I know I'm going to be comparing and contrasting a lot with these, and I just haven't played them in a while, so my memory's a little foggy. Okay, so we're gonna have to deal with that there. But yeah, like the Gary Vault was interesting. The Plant Vault, where they experimented with like plant life, was very interesting. You know, the vault where you meet Fox and you get the Gek is pretty interesting. You know, the most interesting Fallout 4 vault is what? The Gunner Vault, where there's gunners in it, or maybe like Vault 81, maybe the DLC one where you get to like build your own vault, kind of. I don't know, man. I just feel like every vault in this game was kind of just the same thing, and it was really not that interesting. I don't know. I just feel like the vaults from the earlier games were way more interesting than this was, and that is a big part of the Commonwealth that I don't like. You know, most of it just feels kind of uninteresting, whereas like in Fallout 4 there's just like so much crazy shit to get into. Same with Fallout 3, you just never know what you're gonna kind of get into. But in Fallout 4, I don't know, it's just every location just kind of feels vaguely similar, and I don't know, just didn't really I don't know. But there is a really good amount of awesome locations in this game. A couple that come to mind, the Prydwen. Right? The Prydwen is like the Brotherhood of Steel's giant warship that they use, that they want to, you know, that they operate out of, that they're trying to cleanse the Commonwealth with. Going up in that thing was very cool. I love that. Diamond City was one I touched on briefly. I love Diamond City. I think the whole location of the Institute in general is pretty interesting. Same with like the Railroad HQ, with the how you had to find it was pretty cool. I really like that. And I really just like the whole idea of the glowing sea in general. I like the fact that there was like this just giant pocket of radiation that you have trouble going through. You know, I just thought that in general was a very cool thing to see in the Fallout games. This is something we haven't really explored before, if I'm not mistaken. But as far as that goes, guys, I'm not even kidding. I'm looking at the map right now. That's about all of the most interesting locations. Everything else is pretty much just like the same kind of deal over and over again. It's either just a generic story you go in. It's like a lake or something you discover. There's multiple satellite relay towers all over the place. There's junkyards all over the place. A lot of uninteresting vaults to go in. Gunner's Plaza was okay. And then the rest of the locations were just settlements, which is a great segue into the next section of the video. Settlements. I feel like you either love them or you despise them. I am in between. So here's my stance on settlements. I'll give it to you guys real quick. I think they're cool, you know? I think they're a cool extra thing to have in the game if you want to go that route. And if it's just something you can spend time on the game doing, crafting your own stuff, especially with the DLC that made it so there's a lot more items. That was pretty interesting. And if you're into this, you know, hats off to you. I didn't really play around with the settlements too much in my first playthrough ever, but this time I wanted to, you know, try to establish supply lines and do all that kind of thing. So I put a little more time into it this time around. And if you get local leader perk 1 and 2, you can establish supply lines, and then you can also build shops and stuff around your settlements. So what I did is I basically, and I kind of hate the fact that they make you do that. They don't make you do this, but let me explain. So basically, I know I wanted to do this from the beginning of the game, so I just collected junk on junk on junk on junk, and every time I was done with somewhere, I would fast travel to Sanctuary, drop everything off in the workshop, and then continue on. And then when I finally wanted to get involved with the settlement building and stuff, I had enough supplies to basically do everything I wanted. And all I really did was build a bunch of industrial water purifiers to have a purified water farm, just to trade with and get ammo and caps and all sorts of necessities that I needed. I basically just used purified water as my trading material, or my version of caps. So it was really useful for that. I just hate the fact that Fallout 4 like incentivizes you to collect junk. You know what I mean? Because it kind of carried over to my Skyrim playthrough. I was playing Skyrim and I was just picking up everything, and I was like, wait, I don't have to do this. What the fuck am I doing? But it is nice to sell. But it's just annoying because it just takes up so much weight, and then you gotta go lug it around, and then you gotta drop some stuff, then you gotta drop some weapons that you can't carry, or you gotta drop a bunch of junk. It just gets slightly annoying. So my stance on settlements, they're cool. It's a cool sim-like feature if you want to do that. I built a house for my power armor. I built a mini house for dog meat. I built basically a place to put my power armor, like a shed almost. I had like fucking 25 suits of power armor by the end of this game. It was kind of crazy. And then I basically built a shed for my my weapons to go in, all my Nuka-Colas. I put an ice cooler in there for my Nuka-Colas. Put a dresser for all my armor. You know, put a gun locker for all my guns, put a safe for all my special guns that I wanted to swap out and still use. But that's really it. You know, it's a cool thing. I personally don't really like spending that much time in the settlements. I'd rather just play The Sims or something if I wanted to do that. But it's a cool feature to have in the game, you know, so bravo to them. I feel like, you know, that's where the DLC kind of lacks in Fallout 4, unfortunately. I feel like they spent a little more time putting stuff in with the settlement, like workshop style stuff that they want to do. So it didn't really cater to me that much, but if it catered to you, then that's pretty cool. You know, you have more stuff to build and work with. So I don't hate that. I just felt like, you know, there's only really 2 notable DLCs worth like exploring. So moving on from settlements, let's move on to just the characters that inhabit this world, man, and the companions and enemies, right? We'll cover all that right now. I'm going to talk about mostly the popular ones and companions. I'm not going to mention every single player in the game or every character because it would just take forever because there's a million of them. I'll just talk about like most of the companions that I used. I'm not going to talk about ones that I haven't really used, obviously, because I can't really speak on them. So this playthrough, the very first companion I actually took was Kate. I love Kate. She's awesome. She's pretty good in combat. Just a rough Irish woman. She was a bandit, so she's been like abused and stuff. She's got a pretty decent backstory. Overall, super fun character to play with. Got the classic dog meat. Doesn't say a word, obviously, but he's loyal to you. We all love dog meat. I didn't really use him too much in this playthrough because I've used him before. Same with Paladin Dance. He's just a pretty honorable dude. Didn't really use him in this playthrough. I used Piper for the first time in this playthrough. She's kind of annoying, I can't lie. She's not that great in combat, and she's just kind of annoying. Easy to level up, though. Everybody's favorite, Preston Garvey. Just got word of another settlement that needs our help. What else can we say about this guy? I never really used him as a companion just because this guy just leaves a bad taste in my mouth, man. Just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I hate this guy so much, man. Stop asking me to help other settlements. Let me do my own thing. I used McCready a lot in this playthrough. I actually didn't use him ever before. He's awesome, and his perk is really good. Can't remember what it is, but I just remember it being really good. It's cool because he was in Fallout 3 and he was the mayor of Little Lamplight, if you remember, and now he's all grown up in the Commonwealth. He has a son. He had a wife. Really tragic backstory for this guy, but he's pretty good. I like McCready. I didn't use Codsworth. I've never really used Codsworth ever. Curie was pretty cool. The what is it? The bot that you eventually turn into a synth or a human or something. I used her a little bit. She was pretty good. And that was pretty much all I used for companions wise, to be honest. Some of the other characters, I think Kellogg was a pretty interesting villain. Didn't last too long, obviously, though. I think Father was okay. You know, I really don't agree with Father's motives. Obviously, he was a fucked up weirdo. He only really thought about the future of the Institute. He didn't really give a shit. He literally released you from cryo just to see what would happen, just to be an experiment for you. So fuck Father. All my homies hate Father. That guy's an asshole. Did I mention Nick Valentine? Fuck, if I didn't mention Nick Valentine, I'm stupid. Nick Valentine is probably the best companion in the game, just because he's the most interesting, with the most interesting backstory as well. Elder Maxon was kind of okay. You know, I didn't really care for him too much. I didn't think the Brotherhood was all that interesting. I thought Desdemona and the Railroad was pretty interesting, just because, like, how much they deluded themselves into thinking they're doing the right thing. I actually sided with the Railroad in this playthrough because I never have before because I wanted to see where that went. And it was pretty interesting. That's the one thing Fallout really does well, I think, as characters. There really wasn't a bad batch of like protagonists and antagonists in any of the Fallout games. You know, I liked them from Fallout 3, I liked them from New Vegas, and I like them all in this game too. You know, they each have their own unique personalities, their own motives, and it's just interesting. Sorry, I keep saying interesting. Holy fuck, I'll try to come up with a different word. You actually have the option of romancing your companions in this game, but I mean, I never really cared to do it. I just wanted to get their quest done and then move on with them. That's kind of what I did. I kind of just grabbed a new companion when I got like the max level affinity with one, and then I would just move on to the next one. I'm just going to talk about the story briefly, not going to spend a lot of time on it, so spoilers ahead. So basically, the main villain of this game is the Institute, and what the Institute is a bunch of scientists that are hiding under the CIT ruins, which you eventually find out, and they are responsible for making the synths. The synths are basically synthetic humans, essentially. Like, they're very human-like robots, very high intelligence. They're basically trying to replace people in the Commonwealth with these synths. Brotherhood of Steel, they want to wipe out the Institute, obviously, to stop this from happening. The Railroad, they want to free the synths, and basically, they want to free the synths from the Institute's control to, try to give them a new life and wipe their memory, which is kind of insane. That's all I really know. I don't really know like the Minutemen story or the Gunner story. I don't really get what they're doing there. The Gunners aren't really all that interesting to me, so I'm not going to really talk about them that much. They're basically just another raider camp, essentially, but they're more, they have more ranks and stuff. They're kind of like the NCR, if I had to take a guess, but I didn't really look too much into them. So the whole premise of this game is trying to find your son. You obviously lose your son within the very first few moments of the game because he's stolen by Kellogg, as you later find out who he is, and then your spouse is killed in front of you. So you spend the whole game trying to track down the Institute to get inside the Institute and rescue your son, only to find out he's actually super old now because there was like a time jump when you were still in the cryostasis, right? And you find out your son is leading the Institute, the very people you want to destroy. So I will say that plot, the whole plot in itself is really fucking interesting, man. I really like the whole concept of it. It was a very, very big surprise when all of that first went down in my first playthrough. So I will say the shock value, it's there, man. It was a great story. And that's all I'm going to really get into it wise. I don't really care to talk about it more in depth, but I'll just say I started with the Railroad, like I said earlier, and that part of the story was pretty interesting. Fuck, I said I wasn't going to use that word anymore. I'll say it was a pretty awesome part of the story. I've pretty much covered everything that I want to, all of the main talking points in this game that I want to talk about. The one thing I want to mention really quick is just the dialogue. The dialogue in Fallout 4, as you know previously, you would select the whole sentence and you could get speech checks too. In this game, you kind of just like select a generic response and then your character just talks through it, which I can respect that there's voice acting for the main character for male and female, which is pretty nice. However, it's just like oversimplified. I kind of prefer the old method where there's like 4 choices to choose from. Every sentence is fully laid out and you can read the exact response of what you were going to say is. And there was a lot more comical responses in the previous games than there were in this games, Plus, I hate the way speech checks are in this game. I kind of liked them in New Vegas where you just have to have the amount of speech that are required and you would automatically pass it. But this kind of goes back to the Fallout 3 style of just like chance. So it's like, okay, there's a chance if your speech is good enough, you can pass the speech checks. That's all I really mentioned about the dialogue. Didn't really care about it too much. I thought they could have done a little more with it or just not dumb it down so much, All right, guys, we pretty much covered everything here. I'm introducing a new segment that's going to be in each mainline episode. And this one, it's pretty great. I just thought of it randomly. It's called Retard of the Week. Within each Retard of the Week segment, I'm going to take a comment, just one comment, the most stupid comment I can find on like Steam reviews, right? And we're just going to highlight it. If it's a game I do like, we're going to look for a negative comment. And if it's a game I don't like, we're going to look for a positive comment to try to combat. And since I really like Fallout 4, we are off to the negative comments. It actually took me a while to find a negative comment that was actually meaningful because they all of the negative comments on Fallout 4 just complain about how buggy it is. But here's one I found, written by Fantasy System in 2017. So it's a bit of an old one. I don't really care if they're new or old. I just want to read whichever one I find is the stupidest, and this one kind of took the cake. So Fantasy System says, Fallout 4 is the epitome of everything wrong with modern gaming. It has a total of 2 compelling quests, its gameplay is worse than the rest, and to top it all off, they added microtransactions to it. It is the worst of the Fallout series. Okay, so just to start off, microtransactions, I swear to God, I went through this entire Fallout playthrough. Let me tell you how many hours I have on my Steam. I put a lot of time into this game. Okay, I have 94.8 hours, right? So 94.8 hours of this game I played, and I swear to God, I did not use one microtransaction. I actually had to look up what microtransactions were in this game, and they're only for Creation Club stuff, which has to do with sanctuary building, or not like the settlement building, right? If I'm mistaken, please leave a comment below and correct me, but there's literally no microtransaction in this game. I got through a whole 100-hour playthrough almost without spending extra money. So, like, first of all, what is this kid even talking about? Total of 2 compelling quests. I could see how you would kind of say that, but I have to disagree again, because there was a bunch of quests in Fallout 4 that were actually really cool. I really like the one in particular with the pirate robots that you have to help fix their ship, and then they end up flying off and they crash into another building. That was fucking hilarious. I love that quest. I think the quest where you visit the Museum of Witchcraft, kill the Death Claw, and then you have to bring the egg back to the other one is very interesting. I thought that was an awesome quest. I think all the companion quests are worth exploring. Are the side quests and stuff as strong as the other entries in the series? I can't really say. I don't think so personally, but that doesn't mean the rest of the game is bad and there's nothing to do in it. The worst part of this comment is how he says its gameplay is worse than the rest. Literally how? The gunplay is so much better than it was in any Fallout. There's so much versatility with the power armor if you're into that. I just don't know how you could say the gameplay is bad. Unless it's like super buggy, which it wasn't for me, and it doesn't seem like it was for a lot of people. I don't know, so I just had to give it to this retard for Retard of the Week. One thing I want to touch on really quick is just the DLC in this game as opposed to the other games. In Fallout 3 and 4, you got 4 DLCs that were actually like meaningful expansions, you know, with like the Pit, Operation Anchorage, Mothership Zeta, Point Lookout in Fallout 3, and then you had Honest Hearts, Dead Money, Old World Blues, Lonesome Road, which were all bangers. You know, all 8 of those DLCs really stand on their own, have a whole fleshed out world with characters and unique quests and really cool storylines. But in Fallout 4, we get Nuka World, which is I actually really like Nuka World. And then we also get Far Harbor, which is pretty cool in its own right. I think they're a little lackluster compared to everything in the past, DLC-wise. But that's just the most disappointing thing. They kind of shifted some of those DLCs towards Workshop DLC, you know? And I just don't really care for that. The Vault 81 DLC is just like, you know, a settlement DLC. There's like the Workshop expansion DLC. And then the only other one worth talking about is the Automaton, which was another Workshop expansion that kind of had a quest line with it. You know, you visit the Mechanist layer, which was okay, but it kind of took place in the Commonwealth, so it wasn't all that interesting. I just feel like the DLC kind of missed on this game, whereas the base game is very strong. The DLC didn't kind of live up to the base game, in my opinion. I just thought I would mention that really quick before we close the video out here. That's all I really want to mention for Fallout 4. I feel like I basically touched on everything here. I'm sure there's a lot I'm forgetting. Everything I forget, you know, let me know in the comments below and I'll try to answer questions you guys might have. Or I might just upload a Fallout 4 Part 2 video in the way future when I decide I want to play this game again, and maybe do like a different melee builds or something. Or maybe I'll make an off-angle episode if I can compile a list of a bunch of stuff I forgot. But honestly, I'll probably catch them in the later Fallout videos too. Like I do plan on doing Fallout 3 and New Vegas eventually. Probably not soonish because I'm pretty tired of Bethesda games after this and Skyrim, one after another. But you know, they're definitely going to be in the future, so that's that, man. Also, just want to give a quick shout out to myself here. I spent a lot more time on this video than I have in the past. I've been piecing this one together for a couple days now, and I think it's the best one yet, man. It took a little more time into preparing and kind of talking about stuff. I also found a new way to edit audio within the app itself. I use CapCut. I don't know if there's a better one, but CapCut was free and it does the job. It does exactly what I needed to. So I use CapCut. I found a way to, because before I was using Voice Recorder and then just just importing the voice clips here, and it was complicated. But now I found a way to record right into the app, and I can edit exactly how I want to, edit all the stuff out, edit all the stupid shit out that I say, or stuff that doesn't matter. So if this video feels a lot faster paced, it's because I'm kind of making it that way on purpose, and I want them to be like that in the future as well. I just think it's a lot better. We'll have to see, though. I'll have to listen to it. But anyways, if you made it this far, thanks for listening, guys. It means a lot. Thanks for subbing. I really appreciate it. Thanks for listening to me yap about retarded shit and games that I love. It's very cool, man. I'm very passionate about the games I play, and it's just really fun to be able to share that finally. I wish I started this podcast sooner. I know I've said that before, but who knows where it would be if I started it sooner. But, never's too late, right? It's never too late, so I started it. I'm having fun with it, really enjoying it, so that's that, man. Let me touch on what I'm playing a little bit, and then what's next. Still playing a lot of Overwatch. I love Overwatch, never going to give that game up. Not going to get too much into it. I'm not playing X-Defiant anymore. I'm playing a little bit of Siege here and there, actually, which has been fun. I'm playing a game on the 3DS for the podcast that I will release in a couple weeks, probably. When I finish it, it's very interesting. It'll be a good one. We'll revisit the series a couple times throughout this history of my podcast as well. And that's really it, guys. I'm kind of single-player gamed out right now. Like I said, I just finished Fallout 4. I just finished Skyrim, so I'm just sticking to multiplayer shit for now. I can't dive into another single-player game just yet besides this 3DS one I'm playing, so it's fun, man. Anyways, that's the entire podcast, guys. Fallout 4, solid game. Would recommend it to literally everybody. Just dive into the world, turn your brain off, experience the fun characters and weapons and combat, and just enjoy yourself, man. So have a nice weekend. Have a nice week whenever you're listening to this, and take care. Peace.